Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
And it's now time for the Gold Plus Roundup. You asked for it last month. You guys liked it, so we brought it back, and we'll continue doing it, which we were going to do anyways, but we actually got some good feedback about it, so happy about that.
And the whole idea is that we gamers, we have backlogs. We have more games than we have time.
Yes.
And with Microsoft and Sony throwing free games at us, it's more about the time investment.
Correct.
So we've played the games, and we will tell you which ones to play.
And more importantly, we'll tell you which games to grab in your account while they're free before you miss them.
Yes. Which grab them all.
Yeah. If you don't already.
Just at the beginning of the month and the 16th of the month
15th,
or whatever.
the 1st and 15th for Xbox.
Yep.
First Tuesday of the month for Sony. And 1st and 15th, they're both equally as frustrating to remember.
Yeah, but it was so much worse. PlayStation, sorry about this brief history bit, but when PlayStation Plus was first doing it, it was random throughout. Like you would get 2 games, and then you would get no games, and then 1 game, and then 2 games, and the expiration periods were all weird. And then finally they were like, "Hey, first Tuesday of the month, get your games."
Yeah. So if you aren't already, just go, do it. Click. Just buy. Just do it. It's
buy
free.
for $0.
Buy for $0. It's free. Just do it. So usually we have 10 games per month. We got 9 games per month this time.
Yes, you told them.
I'm still frustrated about this. If you didn't know already, Xbox decided, we're going to give you Walking Dead on Xbox 360 and Xbox One.
And then Patrick got very angry. And the first game is Unmechanical Extended.
Unmechanical Extended.
For PS4. It's an interesting, quirky little indie game. It's puzzles. There's no real combat or anything, and you have your little you move your little mechanical guy up and down and around and stuff, and you pick up rocks with your butt tractor beam and you drop them places, and it's cute. It's interesting. The puzzles are not terribly difficult, and even early on, I found myself, like, I've solved this puzzle. I've figured this out. Just let me beat it so that I can move on. And, like, they were really insistent on their mechanics. I do have to compliment them, though, on the physics. Because a lot of it is about dropping things in certain places and having it fall down a certain way.
Yeah.
And, like, it'll hit more rocks and make this little avalanche, and so the physics in the engine were really well used. I forget which, I should look this up before, but whatever engine they used was one I'm not familiar with, and I was really impressed with what they managed to do with it. But overall, it's mostly an overly big, excessively cute puzzly game. And then they have a hint mechanic, which if you push triangle, then after about 5 seconds, a little thought bubble pops up and says, maybe I could do this, which might be relevant to the puzzle you're working on, or if they think you've solved the puzzle you're working on, it might be relevant to the next puzzle, which is not helpful. No. And so I found myself pretty frustrated with it. My 4-year-old girls loved it. They liked moving him around. They weren't actually solving puzzles. Sure. They were just moving the little guy around and making him bump into things, which they thought was hilarious.
It's the cute factor.
Right. So if you have a little kid that you want to teach the basics of moving a little mechanical robot around, then you have found your free game.
Exactly.
Otherwise, don't worry about it.
Another one. Another one that came out for Xbox was Chariot, for PS3. Another one that came out for PS3 was Chariot, and
that's right. I can change your dialogue by looking at you.
You can. We'll try that again. Another one that came out for PS3 actually was Chariot. It's the PS3 loaner this month, and I liked it. It's another physics-based platformer.
It's the one where you're dragging your dead daddy around.
The dead king.
The dead king.
He has not ascended to heaven, so he wants you to help him ascend to heaven. So you drag him around, and you use the chariot, which is essentially his coffin. You use the chariot to help you platform You use it. You can use it basically.
Do you get to push him down a hill and run him into stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds fun.
You can. Yeah, this is really cool in co-op. It really, really, really would shine in that if you're or it does shine in that. Play it as co-op. If you're playing it by yourself, nah. It's fun. It's not too difficult. It's a physics puzzle platform, and it has a lot of fun aspects to it. Slight frustrations, but in regards to figuring out physics puzzles. Solid game in regards to that, but if you're playing this single player, you don't feel bad about passing on it. If you want to play a co-op game, if you have a friend for local co-op, grab that friend, wife, significant other, or whatever. Pick that up for that reason. If not, don't feel bad about it. It's nah.
And that one was also released earlier on. It's available on PS4, but it wasn't cross-buy.
Yes.
So it's available for purchase if you enjoy puzzling with somebody else.
Yes. Previously available also on Xbox One.
Fact.
So, yes.
Next up is KickBeat, which was a PS3 and Vita game.
Yep.
It was rhythm games are hit or miss for me. I like some of them. For the most part, I like to pick them up, play for a bit of rhythmy goodness, and then put it down. And this one is fun for that. Like, the gameplay itself is fun to pick it up, play a song, put it down, whatever. But the entire system that they built around the game is not conducive to that. Like, when you first pick it up and you turn it on, you get past all the intro things. Then your first option is new game. No, go to the other part. Tutorial. No, go to the story. First mission. No, and you have to scroll all the way down. And so I think they designed it to where you would just play it through consecutively as a story, but the story is awful, like really, really bad. So there's a music sphere from which all music comes from, and it's a blue glowy thing, and then the head of Music Incorporated or something stole the sphere, and so now all the music's gone from everywhere. And he wants to take over the world with the absence of music or something.
Of course.
And you fight with kicks and beats and chi and power and health, and you zap people with ancient statues. The story is awful, and so I hope we have just this gamut of images and movies, and it is laughably bad, and I hope that was intentional, because at no point was it not awful.
Yeah.
So if they were self-aware enough to do this on purpose, I think well done. But yeah, so like the gameplay itself is pretty good, and it's solid, and I felt good about getting through it. And they had Marilyn Manson's "The Beautiful People" is like stage 3, and that was kind of fun.
That's cool. Yeah.
And it's an edited version, which keeps it at a T rating.
Yep.
Because I was like, wait a minute, this is kind of a cutesy games. What happens at there's the edit.
Yep, there's the edit.
So yeah, it's a weird. I would recommend just playing it for a few minutes, just because it's so strange.
Yeah.
And dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like maybe if they make another one and they fix the UI to streamline it to where it's just click, new song or whatever. Yeah. If they do that, I would be interested in the second one.
Yeah.
But the first one just has too many. It's problematic to play the game, and that's never a good thing.
Sure.
So I would go ahead and pick it up, play for 5 minutes, laugh, delete it, and move on.
And going from a game that had a crappy story going to a game that is very story based. Walking Dead Season 1 is out, so that's free on Xbox 360 and Xbox One. They gave it to you on both. Redundant. But if you haven't played this game yet, pick this up. Find a time to play through it. hopefully all together. If you can't play it in all together,
that's a lot to play at one shot.
I think it'd be worth it.
Okay, well, if you have a Saturday,
if you had to have a Saturday, awesome. This is another game that I recommend. There are certain games that are good in a group. It doesn't matter if not everyone is playing. The storyline in this, as well as the decisions that you're making and dialogue trees and everything, are worth it. Just like Until Dawn, this game would be just as fun with a big group of people just enjoying the story, or if you have like I said again, a significant other or a friend over and you're playing it, they're not going to be distracted, they're not going to be disinterested in this. The story is really great. The cell shading, I really like the art direction in that.
Yeah, and it's realistic enough that the characters' emotions come through.
Yes.
And that's the important element here.
Exactly.
And they manage with the cell shading to humanize the characters. He was good. I will disagree with you. You said that it was okay for there to be a bunch of people, if not everybody's into it.
Yeah.
Particularly in episodes 4 and 5, I think that anybody who's in the room needs to be paying attention, because you don't want a conversation going on in the background. When some of these decisions are being made.
I meant having people over specifically to play the game. Specifically to say,
I thought you were saying at a party.
Pick
this game up and play, because you don't want to be the one crying at the party.
What I meant was, if you're
going to cry.
You're going to cry. What I meant was, if you're going to have a gathering of people together to play games, to play a game, and you're playing this, if you're saying, hey, we're going to play a story game and put this on, and everyone is watching that, it works as a community thing. I didn't mean pick it up. You're the only one. You're bawling while other people are having fun and laughing in the other room.
Yes, I had a completely different picture of what you were suggesting. Okay.
What I meant was just like there are a lot of games that you can play, and it's almost like you are. It's the old school. Everyone's huddled around the couch, around the console, and you only have one player that can play, but it's still interesting.
Yeah, because everybody can shout out, what they want you to do.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a really, really cool community thing, and everyone will get invested in the story. Pick this up if you have not already. It's been out for 2 years now, I think.
Yes, it's been out for forever.
It's been out for a while. If you haven't already, pick it up. If you have it on 360, grab it on your Xbox One. Graphic, and it's cell shading, so it's not a huge advancement, but it's an advancement enough that it runs nice and smooth, and it's pretty. Yes. So grab it.
And if you don't have an Xbox One, but you do have a PS4, episode 1 is free.
Yes.
And so if you want to pick that up and then, have, a good, it's probably a good hour's worth of playing.
Give it a taste.
By the end of that, you'll know if this is something you want.
Yes.
And that's actually something that Telltale is doing now, is whenever they announce the release date of episode 5 or 6, whichever the last episode is, then they'll make episode 1 free. For they've done this for Tales of the Borderlands and Game of Thrones, and
Wolf Among. Did they do it for Wolf Among Us?
Yes, Wolf Among Us. And so yeah, pick those up, and even if you don't necessarily like the story as it's happening now, check out one of their other ones, because their storytelling is pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Speaking of stories, Valiant Hearts is the next one, and I think this might be, with the exception of the Red Baron back in the day, I think this might be the first World War I game I've seen in the past decade.
No one talks about World War I.
Yeah, and
the Great War, and
the Great War, and then the other Great War.
Yeah.
And the whole I'll admit the World War II is okay. World War II is sexier. There's more.
Nazis are sexy.
Well, it's a lot easier to have the good versus evil in World War II, and so it makes for an easier storytelling mechanic. Yeah. In Valiant Hearts, one of the first characters that you play, you play an assortment of characters, and the main constant is a dog that follows through, and yeah, puppy's cute. But one of the first things that you do is you're a father working on your farm, and you go off to fight for one side, and then your daughter's fiance, or maybe even husband, I forget which. I played this a while ago.
Significant other, yeah.
But yeah, he goes off to fight for the other side, and that kind of conflict, it's an UbiArt game, and I again have to applaud Ubisoft for being willing to put out these kind of games.
Yeah.
But Valiant Hearts has the human element of war. There's the combat and the puzzle solving, and you blow up a bridge and you get under a trench and you dig through, and you there's a puzzle game there, but really what you're doing is investing in these characters and feeling the conflict and the true cost of war, the human cost. Yeah. And it's a difficult game to play. More so because that there were so many lives lost. Yeah. And Walking Dead is more about the individuals. But when playing Valiant Hearts, it's a really, really emotional game.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. And I think that I'm a better person for having played it. Yeah. And that's something I don't get to say often. Yeah. But yeah, I recommend picking it up and do it at a time when you have a couple of hours to set aside and really, really feel the characters.
Yeah. I agree.
Back to you.
Back to me. Another game that is a get it if you haven't already is Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. This is a lot of people were frustrated about it before because this is essentially a prologue for Phantom Pain. And the game itself is a single contained mission, and you could beat it in a quick amount of time, or you could spend a lot of time digging through. There's a lot of lore and bits in there that lead into important things that are going to happen in the Phantom Pain, or set up exactly what kind of answer what happened after Snake Eater, and all that. If you haven't played this game yet, pick it up because it'll tell you whether or not you're going to like a lot of the aspects of Metal Gear Phantom Pain. There are some parts that aren't in the game. Your resource management is not in there. Your being able to Fulton people, basically extract people and other things from the battlefield. That's not in this game, but the overall combat system is in the game. The idea of going through a specific mission, being able to do it however you want to do it, and dealing with enemy AI and not being seen, or if you are seen, how do you deal with that and try to be quiet? You can play this game however you want. You can play it strategically and stealth, or you can just go in guns blazing.
Or you can turn on a bunch of cassette tapes and let them play in the background while you do dishes.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There's a lot of cool lore in the game, and another thing about this is you can actually import your save data from this into Phantom Pain. So there is an integration there as well. If you haven't picked it up yet already, grab it. This is so that's on 360. It'll give you a feel of whether or not you're gonna like the Phantom Pain. I really wouldn't play this game on 360 if that's what you have. Okay, but it's a lot better. It runs. It looks better. It plays better. The frame rate's better. The resolution's better, obviously, but the frame rate kind of hurts this game in regards to 360.
Well, but a big part of that is for the entirety of Ground Zeroes, you're in the rain. And yes. the rain and the reflections and the slickness and all of that is demanding on the hardware. Yes. And it's one of the games that just kind of shows, okay, this is what a PS4 Xbox One game is supposed to look like.
Yes.
And so when they dialed that back to the 360, it's not good.
No, it's not. But pick it up. Definitely pick this up if you haven't already. If you have a 360, just to give a taste of what Metal Gear Solid in this current or previous gen kind of feels like, because it's really cool.
Next up is Broken Age, which was the Tim Schafer Double Fine point and clicks.
Yes.
Because those are back, which is really interesting. And
big fan of those.
yes.
Yeah.
And when you get to pick up items and use them in various places, there's actually a trophy on the PS4 for using the spoon that you have at the start of the game in 100 inappropriate places, which is awesome because you get to go around. And I love playing these games and picturing my character physically doing whatever it is that I'm trying to do with the character. So he just walks up to everybody and spoon. and like the trophies themselves are a lot of fun. The story's fun. It's two parallel stories of characters that are, and I'm gonna try to do all this without spoiling anything because the story is really where it's at in this. And you start off with these two characters, one of whom is the girl, and there's a ritual and a sacrifice and a thing, and she's the chosen one, and she's not happy about it.
Yep.
And everybody thinks she should be happy about it. And then there's the boy on the spaceship, and he is protected from everything and anything. And there's a computer AI system that believes he should be very happy with this completely safe, completely sterile world that he is not able to explore. But very quickly you're able to find minor holes and poke your way through and get into the depths of the spaceship and find an ally. I won't say anything more about that, but but yeah, pointing and clicking and picking up everything and poking it at stuff.
Spooning things.
Spooning things.
Yeah. I really liked it. I actually got to play this quite a ways back with Whitney. And I love point and click adventures, and I really hope that this becomes more of a thing because it's outrageous, but also you're playing a story in a very strange way, like Full Throttle and Day of the Tentacle and all of those, which I think this current generation of younglings is missing out on. And I'm hoping that becomes the thing again because it's really fun.
Also, before we get off this one, this is Broken Age Parts 1 and 2 because they did the Kickstarter thing and they released Part 1 and then it was like, we'll be back with the next part. And then it also has Elijah Wood and Jack Black, and you'll hear a lot of famous voices while you're going through this, and it's a lot of fun to hear their characters. And so and it runs really well on the Vita. And that's where I played most of these games, and that's the reason this is up here because this month you could play every game except for Chariot. All of the Plus games
were on Vita,
and except for Chariot and Unmechanical Extended were on here, and so all the good ones. And Cross-Buy is still my favorite thing.
Cross-Buy is fantastic.
It's a really it really works well with Broken Age where you're this isolated character to just kind of tuck back in a corner and just play by yourself, and so recommended.
More on Vita. I actually played the next two on Vita. I played them both while my wife was getting her hair done, and was like, all right, this is a good time. Whip out the Vita, start playing, and I started with Kung Fu Rabbit.
Yeah, better than finishing with Kung Fu Rabbit.
Yeah, so I started with Kung Fu Rabbit, which was originally on iPhone, correct? Mm-hmm. Yes, it was originally an iPhone game. It's not bad. It has some interesting bits to it. The reason we actually saved these two for last because they're very similar in some aspects. So Kung Fu Rabbit, you play a Kung Fu Rabbit, and it's a physics platformer where you can attack enemies, but only from behind. Mm-hmm. And there are certain other power-ups that you can get.
And you say attack, you run through them, and then they are no longer there.
Correct.
There's not an attack.
There's not an attack.
I'm behind you. You don't exist anymore.
There's no attack button. You have to position yourself. Yeah, you have to position yourself correctly for how it's going to happen, and if the enemy decides that if the enemy's patrol turns them around at the very end of it, you die.
Yeah.
You cannot attack from the front. You only attack from behind. It's more of like a ninja thing, in my opinion, than it is a kung fu thing.
Yeah. Yes.
It's decent. If they hadn't released Super Meat Boy
At the exact same time for free on the same platforms,
I would say, okay, well, it's quaint, and I would have played a lot more of it. I didn't play as much of it because I played Super Meat Boy.
Yes.
And Super Meat Boy was awesome.
Super Meat Boy is a Team Meat game, but it was Ed McMillan, the same guy that did Binding of Isaac later, which actually in the arcade room in Binding of Isaac, you can see a picture of Super Meat Boy up in the corner, and there's an item that turns you into Super Meat Boy, and like there's a bunch of crossover there. A couple of enemies too, a couple of the bosses. But Super Meat Boy is astounding. It's a really, really well put together platformer, and it's puzzly, and there's razors and blades and sharp things and pokey things and salt and
all those things,
all kinds of lethal stuff. And you're rescuing Bandage Girl and finding band-aids and going into warp places and picking up characters from other games, and there's secrets, and you're trying to beat it in a certain time, and even just to beat a lot of the levels is really, really difficult. But as soon as you die, and I did time this, when you die, in less than a second, you're back at the start of the level, and you're back into it. And that's one of the things that really keeps it from being frustrating. Correct. Because
if there was a load screen every time,
or
if there was even just a thing that said you died and then went back in, it would have been so frustrating.
It's just you explode, and then you recoagulate.
Sure.
back at the beginning of the level, you run through, and then
it's immediate. The game doesn't have to load the level again. It just continues. It's less than a second, and I found myself trying to find, depending on the game, I do this on some of the collecting kind of things, and I found myself spending on some levels more time when I found out there was a Band-Aid somewhere. I spent more time trying to find a way to get the Band-Aid and then continue. And it was a blast. I know that we're kind of late to the game on this one. It's been on PC for a couple of years.
It was originally it was originally a Flash game.
Yeah.
And then they brought the full thing to, they edited and kept working on it, and then it came to Steam, and then it's been there for a while. And actually, McMillan said, "Okay, look, I know that you've been out of the loop on this one for a long time. So when I do get it to Vita, because the PS4 wasn't even released when he made this game originally, but he said when it comes to Vita, it'll be free." And he said that like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and
it came out to PS4 and Vita, and it's free, and that's awesome. And one of the other fun things is whenever you finish a level, it shows you all of your guys start here, and then you can watch this whole mob of creatures go through the level,
every single death,
and watch them all splat, and then that one survives, and you get to celebrate, and it's so much fun. And the reason that we had these two last is Kung Fu Rabbit has almost the same thing. Super Meat Boy, no combat. You're not able to kill anything. Well, you can kill the squirrels by running them into the razor sharp
into the saws, the saw blades, and everything.
Right, but you're not really supposed to kill them. That's not a thing.
It happens though.
But you do get to kill the spoilers.
World
World 5. You can kill those. But yeah, like the mechanics are very similar. There's the wall jumping and everything, but Super Meat Boy is just a very precise, very timing based, and just the right jump, and you feel accomplished at this. Kung Fu Rabbit it feels loose and kind of sloppy, and you collect the carrots, but like I felt like after I played the game for half an hour, I'd seen what it had to offer. And after you've played it for a while, you can access the hard mode, and then they put some more spikes and stuff. And Super Meat Boy has the same thing, because when you hit square, and it'll show you the same levels but with extra saws and more danger and spinny death. And so there's the parallels between the two are inescapable. But
Correct.
one of them is an excellent game and the other isn't.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's similar to what they did with like Mario Maker.
Mm-hmm.
These are the same tools and the same levels that could be made.
Yeah.
But the difference between me making a level and Macmillan making levels and Matsuda and Igarashi and all of these people who have made their careers around thought-provoking excellent
And the Super Meat Boy levels also are just the right length of gameplay where if you do die, okay, it's going to take me, if I do it right, 20 seconds or so. If you can beat it, if you can beat the level, maybe 15, 20 seconds. Some of them are 30 seconds or so, other than boss fights. Kung Fu Rabbit has a lot of the same concepts. You have wall jumping, you have wall gliding,
sliding down
the wall, just Mega Man style.
Yeah.
You have certain things on the ground you can't hit, just like Super Meat Boy. But when you die in Kung Fu Rabbit, you start at the beginning and you have to, and there's a delay. It is not as fast paced as that. And Kung Fu Rabbit's levels are considerably longer.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more frustrating when you are a minute and a half or 2 minutes into a Kung Fu Rabbit level and die right at the end, and then go all the way back to the beginning. Super Meat Boy, it's frustrating, but it continues to give you that carrot on the end of the stick. No pun intended for the rabbit,
because there's no carrots in it.
There's no carrots in it, but it still has a carrot at the end of the stick. It makes you want to continue to play and continue to push forward. And
because when you reach the end of a level on Super Meat Boy, you feel accomplished.
Yes.
I did something.
Yes.
This and you can see with all the like that swarm of characters, all these 20, 30, 50 deaths. I actually had a buddy come over.
Yeah.
And he played through the first world and racked up 170 deaths in about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's
so fast paced that you can do that.
And there's a lot of things that would be frustrating if it weren't instant. Back in the game. I
completely agree.
Because like they'll one of the levels that I hit recently, it starts off with you have a platform and then you have a jump to nothing. Good luck.
Yep.
And if that were in Kung Fu Rabbit and I jumped off the thing and I'm like, oh, there's the platform. Okay.
I gotta wait.
Jump. Oh, no, it's a little bit more this way. But the muscle memory is much more in tune with an instant replay. Yeah. And that's just how this game works. Yeah. And so, Super Meat Boy, highly recommended. Yes. I would even recommend picking up Kung Fu Rabbit if you're interested in this as a commentary on gameplay and the way that gameplay can be done well.
I agree. And also the way that Super Meat Boy teaches you. They teach you how to go through things. Not only the way the levels teach you, but the tutorials teach you really well. Watch the little thing that pops up and tells you what they're actually trying to teach you to do. Because I played through all of the first worlds without realizing you can run.
Yeah, you can run. You gotta run.
And the first boss, you have to run or outrun them. And as soon as I realized how you actually run in the game, I beat him the first attempt.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I want to say it's the third level that you go through, teaches you how to do a running jump.
Yeah, because there's a massive pit thing.
There's a massive chasm, and I was clicking through and I missed that, and it never shows it again. So I wall jumped up, and then across, and I made it. And then I continued to play.
Congratulations, you have learned nothing.
And then I continued to play the rest. Well, I thought that's what they were trying to teach me. And then I continued to play all the way over to the first boss. So all the 20 or 30 levels?
It's 20.
20 levels. So all the next 17 levels, not realizing I could run. And I beat every single one of them. Don't do what I did.
Yeah.
Don't go for that challenge. So those are the games the free games that came out this month. Tell us what you thought of all those games and all that stuff.
And post, the one thing that I wish you could do on Super Meat Boy is share your replays, because you can save your replays after you play each level.
Yes.
And I would love to see just other people's herds of creatures.
Yeah.
Because they all just slowly die off, and you see all these little meat explosions through the train as they go. But
there needs to be a compilation of those.
But yeah, so when you beat worlds in Super Meat Boy, let us know, and we will celebrate with you, because every world is an accomplishment.
They really are. Tell us what you thought of the free games, and tell us what you're hoping that you're going to get next month for free games. And so
we still don't have those announcements yet.
We don't yet. So
by the time this goes up, next prediction. By the time this video goes live, I predict that they will have told us what's coming out. You may know. We don't.
You may. If you follow our Twitter, though.
Yes.
Then you will have that information.
TWIOCH.
On TWIOCH.
TWIOCH, I will let you know.
Yes. So you'll get that as soon as those come out. We'll then discuss them, obviously. But tell us what you are hoping. It's November is next month, and it's Thanksgiving, so it's not quite Christmas. But give us stuff. I'm really hoping that that we get some good ones the next couple months. I know that you have said that they don't, but you have a...
No, but I just thought of this. I want Black Flag. I really want Black Flag. I don't think they're going to give it to me, especially since Syndicate just came out, which apparently seems to still be following the Star Trek movie rules, where every other one is amazing, because they did Black Flag, which
phenomenal. Yeah. It's the best one.
And the best one. I still haven't gotten around to that one. And then the next one was Unity, which was buggy and broken as all hell.
And even when they patched it, it was meh.
Yeah. And this latest one, from everything I've heard, I still haven't gotten to play it. I'm picking it up for sure. But yeah, this one is apparently astounding. Yeah. I like the twins angle. I'm looking forward to meeting because you get to meet Darwin and Dickens.
Yes,
both,
you do.
Right?
Yes, you do.
And I'm that sounds awesome.
Makes
Victorian
my heart
London.
Happy. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping that they'll give us Black Flag, because I never got around to that one, and until it's free, I can't justify it, because I'm already playing too many games.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are also following this little bit of mine, I'm down to the last 3 bosses on Bloodborne. We're hoping to have our spoiler cast up either next weekend or probably the weekend after, which will still be before the Old Hunters. So I will beat it before that. But I beat the Daughter of the Cosmos today, and you'll get to hear my theories on why Rom is on her altar, because I think it's Rom.
You think it is?
Yes, Christian doesn't. He'll be our guest.
Yeah, we'll have our first guest. That'll probably be our first guest on that. And I'm excited about this because between you and Christian, the amount of lore involved. Because I know I have my theories and everything of what's going on, but I killed everything in that game. Oh, you're an NPC wants to help me? Die.
You're a monster.
I'm a monster. I massacred some of those, like one guy I didn't, but pretty much all the others, and I saved a couple of people.
Who didn't you kill?
What's this guy? The first hunter that you come up to, I forgot his name. The first hunter that you come up to, and he's praying at an altar, and he says, this would be a lot better if
Alfred?
Alfred, yeah. I did not kill Alfred.
He's a douche.
Yeah, so...
but you never even saw him being a douche.
Nope. Because I killed everybody else. So
up to and including Eileen.
I killed Eileen.
Eileen's cool as hell.
I killed her, I guess it's technically about 3 hours into the game, maybe.
Like right after she rescued you from Henrique?
Oh no, I killed her before that.
Good God.
So you see her up in the rafters.
So yeah, you'll see a lot of this, because I will be judging you all the way through that cast.
So a lot of it I'm just curious about. I'm gonna get like a list of, I might have to moderate this, where you just get a giant list of topics and just keep you guys on track, because I want to hear about this. But yeah, I actually killed her in the rafters above.
Like just up on the...
Yeah. So like as soon as you meet her, and she's like as soon as you meet her, and she says something, and I did it because you get access to the Blades of Mercy really early. So I'm gonna be playing through the game. I'm playing through the game New Game Plus, and I'm not killing, and I'm helping people, and I'm rescuing people.
As long as you kill the cannibal dude, because Afflicted Beggar,
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. We will save all this for the podcast. We might even take it out of this. We probably won't.
No, we won't.
Because we like talking, like
fun.
hearing ourselves talk.
It's fun.
We watch this and we like listen.
Yes. So tell us if you want to hear us talk about more of random things. Bloodborne will be our first kind of spoiler cast where we kind of dive into the lore. Fallout comes out next month.
In less than 20 days.
Really excited about that. I would like to do. Tell us if you'd like to see us do something similar on Fallout, on Metal Gear. I'd actually like to do do a bit on Metal Gear where we talk about the lore of that. Are you interested in the lore? Are you interested in? Last week we did a moment in time where we talked about a specific gaming history. We'll continue to do that. So tell us what you'd like to hear our opinions on, and if you have a specific moment that you thought was really important that people don't talk about as much. And send us your questions for viewer mail. We're going to continue to do those as well. And
yeah, and then last we talked a little bit about the Bloodborne episode, but send us your questions about that because I have an unhealthy obsession with all of Miyazaki-san's games.
Yeah.
and this one in particular has been a lot of fun. But yeah, send us questions on that. I probably have an answer. Whether or not it's the right one, who knows? Because it's confusing and wonderful and nuanced and more like that, please.
Yeah, very looking forward to that. So anyways, have a good week. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you for watching This Week in Our Collective Heads.
If you like what you've seen, subscribe here to get more.
And watch us play games really poorly, right over here.
If you're on a mobile, then click here. I for cards. We have cards now.
It's up there. And we're also on Facebook at TWIOCH and then Twitch at TWIOCH Gaming.
Indeed. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at TWIOCH there, and I'm at Sabal.
We really like the subscribers, so come subscribe so you can see us more and do stuff with us all the time.